It's such an honor to present this award. I just want to introduce myself to Grandpa, Uncle Frank Turner. My parents are Rudy and Joy Hamilton of Shaglook, and my grandpa is a friend of yours, the late Adolph Hamilton and Margaret. And I looked up to him. He helped put water and sewer into our community, or our washateria back in the 90s. So it's just an honor to be a part of this award for him. Gintith Richard Frank Military Service Award, Frank H. Turner, whereas Frank H. Turner is a 94-year-old Korean War veteran born October 5th, 1929 in Shaglook, Alaska, on the Onoka River to his late parents, George H. Turner of London, England, and Elia Dutchman of Shaglook. Frank was raised by his stepmother, the late Esther Workman of Shaglook, after the death of his mother when he was 3 years old. One of 13 children, Frank is the only living child. His late siblings are sisters Daisy, Irene, Connie, and Priscilla, and brothers Harry, Pete, Freddie, Herbert, Ernie, Bernard, Jerry, and Alan. Frank has treasured memories of his beloved family and their life together. And whereas in 1933, the Turner family moved to Flat, Alaska, when Frank was 4. He has fond memories of his childhood growing up in the gold mining camp on the Iditarod River. Frank, along with his sisters, relocated to Bellingham, Washington to attend high school, where he graduated with honors from Mount Baker High School in 1947. After graduation, Frank enlisted in the United States Army on his 18th birthday in Bellingham. Trained as an electrician in the United States Army, he completed basic training in Fort Ord, California, and was stationed in Guam in 1949 during peacetime for 18 months. Frank was on his way home from Guam to Washington State when he was ordered to serve active duty during the Korean War. And
whereas Frank served active duty in field artillery in the 213th Field Artillery Battalion, a National Guard unit out of Richfield, Utah. Frank bravely fought during an infamous battle on May 26, 1951, known as the Battle of Kapyong in Korea. Although heavily outnumbered, the American soldiers who bravely fought during this battle overcame insurmountable fire and attack from the enemy and won the battle without any casualties. As a result of their courage and bravery, the 213th Field Artillery Battalion received a presidential citation. And whereas on June 12, 1952, after returning home from the Korean War, Frank continued a life of courage and bravery when he learned to fly bush planes and became a husband, father, grandfather, bush pilot, trapper, hunter, and construction foreman. Frank retired as a federal service employee with over 30 years of service. He traveled extensively to rural Alaska villages, working on water, sewer projects, and overseeing the installation of much-needed village infrastructure and construction projects. And
kind of a little bit choking. I know Frank since I was kind of a small boy. He lived in Shaglook, and I worked for Frank on a sewer and water project in Grayling. And I used to bring him down every Friday after work and stayed with him and Mary Jo, and then we come back on Sunday evening. So I learned a lot of things from him, even about hunting, stories that he shared me. But one thing I'd really like to mention with my friend here and mentor was that I sobered up 28 years ago in his house. They had a simple camp in Shaglook, and they turned his house into a camp. I went there when I sobered up, where he raised his family. Thank you, Frank. Whereas a respected elder, Frank's legacy is his family. He lived on Holy Cross on Yukon River from 1952 to 1966. He worked and retired in Anchorage, supported by his devoted wife, Mary Jo Peterson, stepmother to his children. Frank and his late wife, Mary Margaret Frank, had 6 children. His son, Frank Turner Jr., and daughter Cheryl, Debbie, Sandra, Gloria, and their youngest daughter, the late Frida Turner. Frank had 18 grandchildren, 23 great-grandchildren, and one great-great-grandchild. Frank has humbly lived a life of sobriety for over 30 years. A gifted storyteller, Frank is always willing to share stories of his exciting adventures and once-in-a-lifetime experience. I just like to add, his son, they call him Buck. He's also my partner to my daughter, and they got their 2 grandkids here with them. That they call him Big, and I'm getting choked, but and the other, and Sierra. So thank you.
Thank you all. I get to read the last part. Mr. Turner is Ori Williams, son of May and Bob Speck, Bill Williams. He graduated high school with honors when I was 2 years old, and they're calling me an elder. Wait a minute now. I want to thank your family for all you've done for us over the years before I read this. I want to thank Ernie also. Ernie counseled me. I stayed sober for 28 years because of that counseling. I slipped a little since then now and then, but I'll never forget that. On your property was the best counseling, best treatment center Alaska ever had, in my opinion, at the time when I was with the health organization. You have an awesome family and fantastic growth and fantastic community. Whereas on October 5th, 2014, and in 2019, the Korean Deputy Consulate General of Alaska presented Frank with the Korean Ambassador of Peace Medal. This commemorative medal is an expression of gratitude and appreciation for the distinguished service, sacrifice, and heroism of soldiers who faithfully served during the Korean War. When Frank was 88, he participated in the Last Frontier Honor Flight Mission number 9 to Washington, D.C. to visit the national monuments dedicated in honor of service members who served during wartime. Frank H. Turner honorably served active duty in the United States Army for 3 years, 8 months, 8 days, 2 hours, and 12 minutes. Nobody was really counting, right? Every minute's a blessing. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Doyon Limited, on behalf of the shareholders, hereby recognizes Frank H. Turner for demonstrating strong leadership qualities in service to our country and commitment to fellow Alaska Natives. The Board of Directors hereby honors Frank H. Turner as the recipient of the 2024 Gitschet Richard Frank Military Service Award, adopted and dated this 23rd of February, 2024 in Anchorage, Alaska. Actually, it's in Fairbanks, Alaska, but we're going to change that to whatever we had to do it. But that's where it was adopted at that meeting. That's why it says Anchorage. Just want to honor you, sir, and thank you for your service, and thank you for your fantastic family for sharing you with us for all these years.
Who is that guy they were talking about? This is a special award. Richard Frank was a friend of mine, and I knew him for many years. And that makes it a special award for me. I want to first let you know about this vest I got yesterday. There's a musher that's in the race here. He came all the way from Canada, Saskatchewan, 2,400 miles. And Gloria, my daughter, had communicated with him before, told him about me, and he had this vest made and given to me yesterday. His name is Tommy Bird. If you see him pass by, cheer him on. I don't really have a speech. They read it. I don't need to say it again, but I wanted to thank the Board of Directors, even for considering me for this award. It is a special honor for me. I want to thank all the people that came today. I want to thank you for still being here after listening all day. And I was amazed at the attention you gave every speaker. This is a good product of Doya Unlimited. I was thinking about Doya Unlimited. Why do they call it Doya Unlimited? I know why, but I was thinking it should be called Doya Unlimited. Yeah. There's so many things that Doya can do and is planning to do. Yes, unlimited. We'll go a long ways from here with the leaders we have today. Great. I wanted to tell a little story. I'm known as a storyteller. Once I get started talking, I can talk for 3 hours without stopping. And I have done it many times. But yeah, when I left Alaska to go to high school, my dad, we were in Holy Cross, and he said, "Do you want to go to high school?" I was 13 years old. And I said, "Sure." I thought he was going to enroll me in the Holy Cross Mission near the Catholic Church. But he said, "Okay, get ready. We're going to go to Washington State. You'll be staying with your sister down there." And that was in the end of May. The barge came down, the E-10 barge line. I was a passenger on that. It made its way up the Yukon River. We finally got an airplane somewhere along. Might have been Galena, might have been all the way up to Nenana, and flew us down to Bellingham, Washington. My second day down there, I began going to movies. I hadn't seen movies yet, you know. I saw some of these still movies, Charlie Chaplin way back when. But I was watching these movies, and they're about Indians and cowboys, you know, and the Indians were stealing these guys' horses. You know, they had time, they'd sneak up on their camp and steal their horses. I thought, boy, that's something. I wish I could do that. Well, it turned out the second day that I was in my sister's house in Bellingham, Washington, north of Bellingham, is a little community called Goshen. I was walking down the road. It was a gravel road. I saw that horseback in the pasture. And I said, "Okay, I'm Indian. There's the horse." So I walked back in the pasture and went to open the gate. I went to the horse, patted him on the back there, grabbed a hold of his mane, and I pulled myself up. I was on a horse now. I pulled the mane to get steered, give him that little kick I see them do in the movies, and away we went. I got him steered out, and we're going down the road. And I was trying to sneak by my sister's house without her seeing me, and a car came along. And the guy rolled down the window, and he said, "Where are you going with my horse?" I said, "Well, I'm just taking a ride." And he says, "Bring that horse back. That's an old plow horse. It's not a pony." They became my good friends down there, those people that owned that horse. They had a son of my age, and we got along for all the years I was there. I really enjoyed it. I was down there for 9 years, graduated from high school, and moved on. The reason I enlisted in the military, in the Army, was so that I could get further education free, go to university free. So that was the main reason I enlisted there. When they asked me, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "Well, I want to go to Alaska." They said, "You can't go overseas." Alaska was called overseas back in that day. So Anyway, they trained me to be an electrician. I was an electrician on the island of Guam. And I got to, all their wires were strung along the palm trees, so I had to climb these palm trees, take all the wires down, put up the poles and cross arms and all, strung new wire there. Two of us, it took us a month to do that for the military now. I got an award for that. And they said, well, we want somebody from your crew. We're going to give them 2 weeks free in Japan, and you pick them. And I said, well, I said, can it be me? He said, yeah, it could be you. But there was a new guy there. He just came. He wasn't there very long. He was there 2 weeks. He was working hard with me. And I said, well, I'm going to ask him, and let's roll the dice, and the high roll goes. So we did that. I was first. I rolled an 11. I said, wow. And the guy took the dice and rolled a 12. He went. But I'd been to 5 different countries during my military time. I was not in the Navy. I was in the Army. But I'm calling the United States a country. I got to go to the Philippines. I went to Australia. I went to Japan twice. I went to Korea. How many is that? That's 5, isn't it? Yeah, 5 countries. That was a big part of my life then, that I crossed the Pacific Ocean twice on a troop ship. 5,000 troops on that ship. They don't do that anymore. They fly them where they want to go now, where they need to go. But I want to thank my family. I'm done talking now. I'm just going to thank my family for being here with me today, for supporting me for the many years, making life easier for me today. I want to introduce Mary Jo, my wife. I have a question to ask Doyon about Mary Jo. She's not a member of Doyon Limited, or she's actually belongs to the Yupik tribe. She's Eskimo. Have you ever seen an Eskimo before? There's one. But they said, no, we can't do anything about that. You can't pass your shares to the other side. Is that still true? I think that law ought to be changed. Mary Jo lived in Holy Cross with me for 40 years, almost 40 years. Worked for the city there, ran the airlines, and yeah, I think I would sure like to give her, how many shares do you want? 10? 10? Yeah. That would be nice. You know, I thank Mary Jo for being by my side for all these years. I didn't know she was going to be a nurse. She takes care of me right now. I can't make a step without her being right there to make sure it was okay. Nothing in the way. I thank her very much for that. Again, I thank all of you being out here today for my award and celebrating it with me. And last of all, I thank my Lord and Savior, Christ Jesus, for making all the above possible.
You want to say something?
Let Gloria do it.
Let Gloria.
Gloria. She wrote the resolution.
Gloria.
Gloria.
Gloria. There's going to be photos for the family.
Yeah,
If you follow the photographer.
you know, they were raised as my relatives.
Oh, no, you're welcome.
One more round of applause for Frank.
City Holy Cross.
Oh, one moment for the family. Hold on.
Hey, sorry to the family real quick. You know, my name is Matthew Burkett. I'm, excuse me, let me step down here. Today's my first official day as Chief of Holy Cross. But on behalf of, thank you. On behalf of the community of Holy Cross, you know, not myself, we'd like to present Frank a necklace here. And it's in appreciation of his many years of service to our community. So thank you, Frank. I'll have to get that. Thank you. Here's the wrap that handkerchief.
Ana Basi.